So our text from Mark chapter 10 says, "From the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. For this reason, man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." This fundamental teaching on marriage is one of the best known sayings from the word in the world today. And yet, very few really seem to understand the essential truth contained in these words. Marriage, for many, is no longer viewed as an eternal, sacred union where a husband and wife diligently strive to become one flesh in soul, mind, and body. Husbands and wives all over the world struggle to maintain their own sense of autonomy and power in their marriages, and as a result, tend to live parallel existences where no real conjunction occurs. But from the beginning of creation, this was not so. From the beginning of creation, God made them male and female, and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply." So let's look a little more closely at some of the details in the story. A comparable companion, literally a counterpart aid or a balancing helper. The woman being created from the rib of the man means that the Lord transferred the male's love of his own wisdom to the female and transformed it into conjugal love within her. We're told that the purpose of this was to replace the love of self in man with a love for his wife. For otherwise, the man would have been continually self-absorbed in the pride of his own intelligence. Thus, we can see that from creation, the Lord created male and female to be complementary partners. In particular, we're told that man was born to be a form of wisdom, and that the woman to be a form of love. And so the Lord designed male and female from creation, each with a special gift that the other needs to get from the opposite sex. In women, he gave conjugal love in their hearts, and men need to get conjugal love from women. There is a desire within recognizing that they need this. Likewise, the Lord gave a special gift to men, a particular form of wisdom called rational wisdom that the female actually needs to get from the male. And so from creation, there is built in a desire for conjunction, a desire for this rational wisdom in the male and conjugal love in the female to come together and become one. And so we're told that the male is designed to be the wisdom of the female's love, and that the female is designed to be the love of his wisdom. Now, the next words tell us that the man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. It's important to note here that it is the man who is instructed to leave his parents and cleave to his wife, and not the reverse. This is because of that gift the Lord gave to females. Conjugal love in marriage, we're told, depends primarily on the wife, for it is seated in her like a precious jewel in its matrix. Therefore, we're told her love is a more constant and perpetual source of strength in the marriage. On the other hand, we're told the husband's love tends to be intermittent and fluctuating, being dependent on the love of his wife. So the Lord instructs the husband to leave his parents and cleave or cling or hold on to his wife alone and become one flesh. The meaning of becoming one flesh deserves further consideration because a clear understanding of these few simple words is perhaps one of the greatest keys to having a successful marriage. The heavenly doctrine gives us this quick litmus test to examine our own marriages with in the next passage. It says, people who are in a state of truly conjugal love continually wish to be one person. But those who are not in a state of conjugal love want to be two separate individuals. Think about that in light of your own marriage and states in your own marriage. It's not every moment of every day where we feel like we want to be one with our spouse. Sometimes we very much want to be our own individual and have our own way. But in contrast, we are told that to will to become one flesh is conjugal love, and that such as the willing is, such is the love. That's a profound teaching. The willing to become one is conjugal love, and the quality of the love is defined by the willingness. And so that's a great question in every marriage to ask yourself, do you really want to become one in affection and in thought and in all things of life? Further, we're told that in a marriage where conjugal love is present, the couple's souls incline towards each other until they gradually desire to think and to will as one another, until eventually it says they do not wish to lead two lives, but one. And in fact, we're told without this conjunction, they feel like a half a person or a person divided. And therefore, in the work conjugal love, we're instructed that the human form is most perfect and most noble when by marriage two forms become one form. Thus, when the flesh of two becomes one flesh. In angelic couples from the most ancient church, it says the expression and receipt of that reciprocal desire existed in every single detail of their life. That is, in every single part of their affection and in every single part of their thought. That's a high bar when you consider wanting in every single detail to share that affection with your partner and every single thought. From this, it becomes clear that the nature of conjugal love, as the Lord designed it, is the desire to perpetually and continually conjoin the wisdom, truths, and thoughts of the male with the love, good, and affections of the female. And so we're told in this beautiful description of a heavenly marriage that the wife wills to think and will as the husband, and the husband as the wife. And because each wills this, each is led by the Lord as one, and the two are one angel. It's in this way that they truly become one flesh, and the two more perfectly become one image of God as they were created to be. Thus we're told that marriage is the completion of a person. For by marriage, a person becomes a complete person. Therefore, what God has joined together, let not man put asunder. All these wonderful teachings of the words from the heavenly doctrine paint for us a beautiful picture of what the true nature of conjugal love between a husband and a wife is supposed to be. It is a marriage of two equal halves striving to become one more perfect image of God. For from creation they were created to be entirely complementary. The husband, the wisdom of the wife's love, and she, the love of his wisdom. There can be no thought of supremacy in a conjugal marriage, but rather the desire to do the other every good from the heart. And it's as they strive to become more and more one flesh that they do not lose their sense of individuality or identity, but instead they actually gain a keener realization of the unique qualities that each one brings to the relationship. Now, this concept flies in the face of much of what is taught in marriage relationship counseling today. The basic premise that some hold to is that in order to have a successful marriage, partners need to focus more on developing themselves as individuals and maintain their own autonomy, for fear that if partners seek to become one in affection and in thought and in all things of life, that they will somehow meld together into an indistinguishable blob and lose all their sense of self-identity. However, those lessons we read from the divine providence point out that this is only the appearance and that the reality is quite opposite. It explains the paradox by showing how we relate to the Lord. The nature of the Lord's love is that we should experience true freedom by being able to love Him freely without any sense of self-compulsion. When we choose to learn what His will is, when we choose to do the things that He desires that we do, then we actually begin to come in closer and closer conjunction to the Lord. And as we come into closer and closer conjunction with Him, our knowledge of Him and our wisdom from Him increases. And as our wisdom increases, we perceive that in fact, the closer we come into a conjunction with the Lord and become one with Him, the more free we actually become. And the more free we become, the more we have a sense of our own identity. Then it says that the same is true with all spiritual love. The same is true with all spiritual love. And that the angels of the highest heaven, the celestial heaven, perceive this more than all others. And so they actually have a greater sense of their own identity than any of the other angels, even though they are the most one with the Lord. And they have the most keen awareness of spheres. They get other people and what they bring to a relationship. The angels of the highest heaven also experience, we're told, the oneness of conjugal love more than all the others. And that's because that same rule applies to this precious love. The more we seek to become one, the more we see how the other partner desires our freedom and our autonomy, and the more we begin to see who we are and who our partner is. So the appearance is that the more we become one with our partner, the more we're going to lose our sense of our own identity. But the reality is actually quite the opposite. And we see this taught in a memorable relation where Swedenborg had an exchange with angels about a palace that was designed to represent conjugal love. And notice in this palace, there maintains some distinct rooms. He was told that truly conjugal love resides in the highest region, in the midst of mutual love, in the chamber of the will, and at the same time in the midst of perceptions of wisdom, in the chamber of the understanding. And that these come together in a bed in a bedroom that is located in the front on the east side. Swedenborg asked, why are there these two chambers? Because, he said, a husband lives in the chamber of the understanding and a wife lives in the chamber of the will. So even though there is a continual desire to become one, joined together in that bedroom in the center, they aren't losing who they are. The wife still resides in the chamber of the will, and the husband resides in the chamber of the understanding. But they want to become together in that center room. So they maintain a distinctness to all eternity, but nevertheless, that desire to be conjoined is perpetually there. It's like those complementary parts of a yin and yang where they are designed to fit together most beautifully and form a complete whole. Swedenborg frequently asked angels about this unique joining of different parts, and they said, "It is a truth that a form is more perfect as the constituents which compose it are distinctly different, but yet united in a unique way. They have illustrated it also by the marriage of good and truth, saying that the more these are distinctly two, the more perfectly they can become united. Likewise in the case of love and wisdom. And they said that a lack of distinction means confusion, from which springs every imperfection in form." And then again, we get a model of a husband and wife, she being the heart and he being the lungs. They have to maintain their distinctness in order to be united and come together more fully as one. You don't want the heart trying to be a lung, and you don't want the lung trying to be a heart. It's the distinctness of the two that allows them to be joined together and become one. Now, the nature of conjugal love is that we should experience true freedom by being able to love our partner freely without any sense of compulsion. And so we're told that all freedom is attributable to love, so that perfect freedom is attributable to conjugal love, which is heavenly love itself. When we choose to freely love our partner, learn our partner's thoughts, do the things that they desire, then we begin to come into closer conjunction with them. And as we come into closer conjunction with our partner, our knowledge of them and our wisdom from them increases. And as our knowledge of them and our wisdom from them increases, we perceive that in fact, the closer we come into conjunction with one another, the more we seek to become one, the more free we actually become. In fact, the more freely we express our love for them, the more we have our sense of our own identity. The secret is that when we endure the trials, when we do the hard work of actually seeking to become one in affection and in thought and in all things of life, the more we begin to gain an insight into the unique qualities that our partner has, and also the unique things that we bring into that relationship. So the reality is that the more we seek to become one flesh, the more we begin to develop our own identity and understand who we really are and who our partner really is. Providentially, along the way, the Lord often provides children to help us discover these things about ourselves. Because without children, it is far easier for a husband and wife to maintain sort of that separate love and that separate thought. You don't have to come together and agree on something because you don't have to. You can maintain that own sense of, well, this is my way, this is your way. But when you have children, there's an impetus to come together and say, well, we got to get on the same page on this. What do you think? And you go back and forth and hopefully come to a better understanding together of what you should do for the child. And so the Lord tries to build in these things into the relationship so that we can more and more become one as we discover who we really are. So let's take a chance to appreciate the distinctiveness between the two sexes the Lord created and work diligently to become one with our partners, even though that may seem to be a tall order at times. We're told, though, that if we do this, that the Lord will bless our marriages with innocence, peace, tranquility, inmost friendship, complete trust, and a mutual desire of the mind and heart to do the other every good. This is the blessing of heavenly happiness that comes from striving to become one flesh. And it is the essence of conjugal love, for to feel the joy of another as joy in oneself, that is loving. So let us strive to model our love after the Lord's love for us, just as he urges us in the Gospels. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may remain in you, and that your joy may be full. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Amen.